Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Have a follow-up to a follow-up video. Y'all may find this one pretty interesting if you stay till the end, because as it goes along, I'm gonna be posting text messages and emails and such, and it may give you a better understanding of truth with proof. May give you a better understanding of how people are, and where I comment on friends and not being such thing as friends. There's acquaintances, there's people you like, there's people you enjoy talking to, there's people. But as far as what I consider a friend from childhood up, and friends is, I don't know what's happened to so-called friends. In fact, you're going to get to see, I thought this was a friend. So I get fooled still, yet 70 years old, and I still get fooled. And how people can take things out of context, how people can write something on Facebook, keyboard Rambos. They can write something, but it doesn't have to be the truth, because they just post it and then they block you from their site, so you can't go back and reply to it or anything like that. It's just the way it is. That's social media, and that's okay. At least we got our platform. Sheila and I do. She's got her channel, Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures. Guys, the video that started all this is on her channel. It's called Responding to a Facebook Post. That's the first one you should go watch. And then you can watch the last one I just did on my channel, Fred McCoy 40. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I hate when people do that in the middle of a conversation, but please subscribe. This video here is going to be responding to a video or a comment that John McNally has a Facebook page, Buford Pusser, and I used to think it was a wonderful page. There's several of them out there, and I thought they were wonderful. They support Buford, and I thought they supported the truth. At least John's supports his agenda. John's page seems to support anything against Mike Elam, anything against TBI, anything against Mike Parsons, anything against Mark Davison, David Roush. He supports that. Sometimes, guys, there's truth that doesn't have to, truth with proof that doesn't have to go against all these people. This is when you turn something into where everybody hates this one person or this one group of people, or that's bullies. That turns into bullies. You can have your beliefs, you can have your, but be open-minded to exculpatory topics and things that you can, when you just have one thought pattern, and you don't want nothing else, that's not a good way to be. Go for the truth. Always go for truth. Let's get started. I'm going to read my notes, guys, because if I don't, I get off topic, and I probably will anyway. But I swear, I think you're going to, or I promise, I think you're going to enjoy this video, at least the topic, at least the conversation part of it, at least the proof, truth with proof. I thought I was finished with this topic, but evidently not. Some people love drama, so here we go. Mr. John McNally, the administrator of the Buford Pusser Facebook page that I used to enjoy, I used to belong to and used to enjoy, posted a mean comment on Sheila's YouTube channel, Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures. Now, since then, I've done like he done. I've removed it, went on. Now, I will tell you this. I did this video yesterday. I did this video about 2 minutes after seeing what Mr. McNally, used to be John, what John had wrote on Sheila's channel. Sheila doesn't have a dog in this fight. That's Sheila's channel. We post some videos there, some here. And he commented on Sheila's channel. Even another one, besides deleting us, deleted poor old Sheila. Sheila don't go, she's not on Facebook that much. She doesn't go to these other channels, and it's okay, but it was just funny how it's okay. I made this video yesterday. It turned into a 20, 30-minute video, and I had to delete it. Sheila saw it, and she didn't like it. I do pay attention to Sheila. I didn't used to do that when we first married, and I've been headstrong and a Marine. In my old age, I've started paying more attention to Sheila. Besides, Sheila's the one that has to edit these videos when I put my foot in my mouth or say something I shouldn't or not Christian-like. This one here, when you see this green screen, that means Sheila's working. Sheila's substitute teaching this week. And I'm here by myself again. I don't know how to do all this stuff. So when you see the green screen, you know it's just Fred. But she was here yesterday evening whenever I saw John's comment that he put on her YouTube channel, and I got through doing the video. And they say, or I've said for years, I don't know who said it originally, but I've used it for years, that speak in anger, and you'll give the best speech you'll ever regret. Now, I spoke, got it off my chest. I was upset because when you think people's your friend, or at least acquaintance, nice acquaintances that you enjoy talking with or texting with or messaging and corresponding with, and then they do that to you, it hurts. Sometimes you take it personal. Then you have to realize that all people's not what they act like they are. It's just the way life is. It's just like corruption in sheriff's departments, police departments, prosecutors' offices. I've seen all that. That's what gave me this personality and this attitude that I've got now. I've seen things that I'm disappointed with people in, the very people that you have trust in. I will go over it in a moment, but first let's see what John had messaged me a couple of days ago. Please listen closely. I'm going to go over this as we go down the line like I like to do. I want to show you. I like truth with proof, but let's just read it out right without stopping and just listen to his message to me 2 nights ago. Fred, I just watched your video. Fred, I just watched your last video concerning William harming. I posted your videos for probably 4 months straight because your content was great, and I agreed with it 99% of the way. I agree with 99% of the way you presented it. This may initially sound contradicting to you, but it really isn't. I agreed with 99% of what you stated in regards to harming, too. He agrees with what I said about harming, or about a statement he had made. But I wouldn't have made that video. Please allow me to provide an example that I got caught up in last year and later took myself out of the situation. See, guys, no two people's the same. We have a YouTube channel. YouTube channels a lot of stuff is contradictory, especially the stuff that I go after. Or Sheila and I both, we look for children, we look for missing grown-ups, we get involved in murder cases and homicides or S-sides. And so the things that we get involved with, some of them are controversial, or some of them's got 2 sides. There's 2 sides to every story, and when you got 2 sides, sometimes you don't agree. I've never been shy about disagreeing with somebody. I've never been shy about speaking my piece. And I say it on all of our videos. It doesn't make me right. I realize that. Sheila's taught me that. Sometimes I'm pretty headstrong, but that doesn't mean I'm always right. I'll leave it up. I'll put it out there, and you guys decide what you think. Put it in the comments. In the Pusser Pack group, this is John speaking. In the Pusser Pack group, one of the administrators in that group is a guy named Frank Stoner. Now, I'm going to post his thing at the end, his entire, so you can see that it's from him and the time. And Frank Stoner. Frank wrote several BS stories that are still posted in that group today. I'm not a member of that group, guys, the Pusser Pack group. If you're on Facebook, you may want to check it out. Frank wrote several BS stories that are still posted in that group today. Frank claims that Buford told him the details of who organized and participated in the ambush. Frank was 13 years old when Buford died, and common sense tells you he made up the entire story. It's funny, I just now caught this, but it's funny how he gets on to me because I question a comment, but he's already saying that common sense tells you that this guy made this story up. Well, that's about the same thing that I'm doing with my video but yet he agrees with me, you'll hear in a minute. I engaged in an argument with Frank in that group, and lots of people took Frank's side. See, it don't matter who takes sides. Stick with the truth, stick with the straight and narrow. Let them get mad, My temper sometimes gets the best of me, and I'm trying to change that part of my life. What I'm trying to say is this: everything we see and read isn't worth an argument. Everything we see and read is not worth an argument. I too wondered why someone with Harming's background would suggest a scenario with a grand jury like he did. He's questioning the same thing that I question. I really believe Wilm incorrectly believes there wasn't enough for an indictment. Incorrectly. He's correcting. He says that I'm right. Where's the argument at? What have I done? I don't agree with those opinions either, but it wasn't worth tearing him down. He doesn't agree with Mr. Harming. Wasn't worth tearing him down. Let's comment later. I believe you could have explained why he was wrong and left the personal comments about book writing out of it. You're going to find out that the book writing, I think, has influenced his judgment. But Wilm Harming is on Buford's side, and I appreciate that just as I've appreciated you. I found him too friendly and I guess to be cordial, friendly and cordial. I can promise you that I would take the same position if someone was posting disagreements with you. I've had conversations with you, Mike Bryant, and Wilm Harming, to name a few, and appreciate you all. These are just my opinions, and I hope you take it the way I mean it. Well, I took it the way he meant it, and I thought it was nice in his opinion, and he agreed with, and I wrote back and I said, thanks for agreeing with me. I mean, I don't see what the issue is because he agreed, but he didn't post, and he's right, he posts a lot of our videos. He posts our videos because we're correcting what he calls the other side. As long as we're correcting Davison, Roush, Parsons, Elam, Baldwin, he didn't mind. Sure, he posted them. That was good stuff for his page. He's one-sided. He's nearsighted. We're truth. We're after truth and especially with proof. He didn't post that video. He didn't post my video where Mr. Harming had put a post, and I guess it's still on that page if you want to go join his page. And I commented on the page. Somebody sent it to me and said, what do you think about this? Well, when they send you stuff and ask you what you think, they want your opinion. But second of all, they must see something wrong with it themselves, or there's somebody that thinks like you, and they think that no matter how nice or cordial, Sheila and I believe you should always stand for what's right. He says this guy's so nice and friendly and cordial. That's great. I didn't attack nobody for not being cordial or not being friendly. I didn't attack nobody, period. I simply called out with proof a couple of comments that Mr. Harming had made. I never said Mr. Harming wasn't a nice guy. I never attacked his character. John even says he agrees with me that Mr. Harming was wrong. How do you correct somebody? How do you condemn somebody? How do you point your finger at them when you're saying that you agree with everything I said and that he is wrong? That he feels the same way I do, that Mr. Harming was wrong in his comments. Now he says, this is his in yellow here. You all can't see it, but I'm trying to distinguish what he says. We're going to break this down because you're going to see another statement in a minute that may explain. This is John, Everything we see and read isn't worth an argument. This is me. What John sees as an argument, I see as truth with proof. I was merely giving my opinion and stated that several times in that video. But in giving my opinion, I was showing proof of what I was saying wouldn't be a good idea or wasn't right, what was incorrect. Now here's John. I too wondered why someone with Humming's background would suggest a scenario with a grand jury like he did. That's his comment. John states he agrees with me on my comments because I disagree with what Mr. Harming was saying there. He says he disagrees with them. Where's the argument, John? I really believe William incorrectly believes. So he says that he believes, John says he believes William is incorrect. He's wrong in his beliefs that there wasn't enough for an indictment. I believe there's enough if you let somebody get up there and tell a story like Mike Parsons or somebody like that to a grand jury that he can convince them to indict. That's the art of persuasion. That's what a grand jury is. You're trying to persuade 9 of these 12 people that somebody's committed a crime or done something wrong. And if they agree, they return an indictment. If they don't, a no true bill. I don't agree with those opinions either, but it wasn't worth tearing him down. Guys, I don't set to tear nobody down. If telling the truth tears somebody down, then the other person maybe should learn to not tell the truth. I don't know. It's not my goal to tear nobody down. That's not my goal. I'm sorry he feels like that, but he's incorrect. Funny, John has never had a problem with any negative comments we've made on anyone else. See, he's never commented or said anything. Don't call Mike Elam out. Don't call Mark Davison out. Don't call David Roush. Don't call Mike Parsons. Don't call Oakley Bowen. No, he likes those kind of videos. He puts them at the top of his list. He comments. Feeling just like you do. You took the words out of my mouth. But when I ask a question or make a comment on somebody that he supports, that he likes because they're attacking Elam or Baldwin or Davison or... How about the truth, guys? Does it matter who's saying it? Let's go for the truth. John has never had a problem with any negative comments that we've made on anybody else or any corrections. How is it right to pick and choose who to correct when they are wrong? How's that right? Do we only correct what John refers to as the other side? I'm sorry. Sheila and I don't work like that. Guys, I've said from the beginning, Sheila and I don't work. We're cut from a different cloth. We're from the mountains, where a man's word is his bond. When he tells you something, he means it. Truth with proof. John says, I believe you could have explained why he was wrong and left the personal comments about book writing out of it. Who is this guy? His publisher? Who is John? Why does it matter about my comments about a book? Because John's overlooked the reference that I make to the book. Sometimes when people's change from a narrative or a path that they're on for truth, and then they write a book and they start selling books and they start getting interviews and they start promoting that book and they start calling people out. It's okay for... John doesn't say nothing about this guy here, Mr. Harming, calling Mark Davison out. I want to debate him. Mike Parsons, I want to debate him. Mike Elam, I want to debate him. I want to get on TV. I want to get newspapers. That's fine. I have no problem with that, but John doesn't say nothing about him asking all these people. But if I mention something about Mr. Harming or his book or why he made a certain comment, is it because it's in his book and he's trying to protect what he's wrote in his book? That was my question. And it was in question form because I still don't know. We're going to get to that, though. Hang with me. Guys, I have no filter. What you see is what you get. Just an old country boy, old mountain boy, old hillbilly, old man. It's what you get. If I think something, and especially if I can prove it, I say it. If I think something, especially if I can prove what I'm saying's true, I'll say it. To some people, that's a bad trait. To me, I admire those type people. Some people don't mind people stab you in the back, and as long as you're good to their face and sweet to them, and they think, see, that's not me. It's just not me. I'm just not built that way. If I don't like you, I tell you I don't like you. If I don't like your ways, if I don't, just the way I am. I like people. I'd rather you be straightforward with me instead of acting like you're somebody's friend and, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then once you say something that goes against their grain or hits them the wrong way, oh, we ain't friends no more. Well, if we ain't friends no more, we was probably never friends in the first place. That's friends. People's got a different definition of friends than what I do. And I've met some good friends, guys, during our YouTube adventures, during our children hunting, during all these cases we work on. We've met a lot of people that I consider friends. Sheila got friends galore. Sheila's more about friends than I am. I don't trust. A 40-year career in law enforcement, you tend not to trust people. It takes a while for people to warm up to you. That's just the way it is. This is John speaking. Wilm Harming is on Buford's side, and I appreciate that just as I appreciated you. I found him to be friendly and cordial. That's great. That's great. How about truthful? Then John says, I can promise you that I would take the same position if someone was posting disagreements with you. John, if I'm wrong, don't stand up for me. Stand up for people that's right. See, don't stand up for people just because you're so-called friends, because, of course, he's not. He doesn't know the meaning or definition. We don't have the same definition as what a friend is. Me and him don't. But he says, I'd stand up for you if somebody disagree with you. Don't do that for me or nobody. Stand up for your own morals, your own, what you think is right. Just because you think I'm right or somebody else is right, look at it in your brain. God gave you a brain of your own. He gave you a conscience. He gave you, that's what a conscience is. A conscience is God talking through us. We can call it a conscience. That's God that tells us when we get ready to stick something in our pocket that don't belong to us. Do you really want to do that? God's watching, and you put it back. Or you get ready to say something ill or say a bad word, or you say, and your conscience kicks in. That's God. Y'all can call it a conscience, but it's the good Lord talking to you. If I'm wrong, don't stand up for me. Stand up for the people that are in the right and correct me and say, hey, not because they have been nice and cordial or not because you like somebody. Stand up for the truth. So, contrary to John's message, he and I are nothing alike. John wrote somewhere in that message, and he says that me and him, maybe the one coming up, me and him's a lot alike, or something like that. We'll get to it. And that was from him, John McNally, Jr. Jr. 1435. That's his text message in our email, whatever it is, at John McNally. Somebody had wrote a comment. That's the video before this one, the one you see before this one. I think it's got me just like you see me now with a green screen. I'll leave that thumbnail there. This thumbnail will probably have Mike Elam's book, Mark Baldwin's book cover, and Humming book cover on it. So this will be the third video in this part, really. I had responded to somebody's message. They had made a comment. Now, he come back on Sheila's page and he wrote this. Fred, if it's not about a feud, then why did you leave the Buford Pusser group for the second time in less than 2 months? Guys, when I don't think somebody's right morally, character-wise, honesty-wise, integrity-wise, why do I want to stay on somebody's page or be a part of them? If I don't trust that person, if I don't believe in that person, why do I want to belong to anything that they're a part of? I didn't make no big deal of it. I didn't post a meme and say, okay, I'm fed up with this. I don't trust you, and your integrity's not to my expectations. And I made a big deal and said, I'm leaving this page. I didn't do that. I merely deleted myself, left the page. I don't need to see what I don't respect his opinion anymore. I don't respect his honesty and character, because he tells me in that message that he agrees with everything I said. He agrees that harming is wrong and so forth, but he's mad at me. He's upset at me for speaking the truth. That's what we're about, is truth. As long as you can say we tell the truth, that we're satisfied. That tickles us to death. May not be the most favorable, may not be the best politically made comment to be made, to get viewers, to get growth, it's not what this is about. This is our opinion, this is our little hobby, and this is what we do. We use these 2 channels to have fun with. But in the meantime, we also put our opinion out there when we're asked about it. Why did you leave the Buford Pusser page? You know, it's funny that I left voluntarily. I left him and another YouTube channel or not YouTube, but Facebook, kicked Sheila off. Sheila didn't do nothing to nobody. She don't go there. It doesn't matter. It was just, I just went to check just to see. I thought, are they that dirty? They were. And it's okay, because there's nothing there that I care about seeing anymore anyway. I'm sorry that I wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit if they delete every video that they have put on there of anything that we've posted. Because if you believe what Harming is saying, then if you believe what he's saying, then he just proved that what Jim Moffitt said is true. So that means Buford killed his wife, if we're to believe that. I don't understand why John's can't see that, but for him to say he protects and defends Buford Pusser, he went right against anything that would have substantiated Buford's innocence. But by him going with this, he just, Jim Moffitt, they say there's a statement out there where Jim Moffitt says that Buford told him he killed his wife. Jim Moffitt says he beat her up 3 days before. I guess that's it. I guess the case is closed. I guess John McNally proved, and is it Mark? It's William Humming. I guess they proved Mike Elam correct. I guess they proved, because if they buy into this, then Jim Moffitt said that, and Jim Moffitt outlived Buford Pusser, so he had the last word. He had the last so-called statement. Let's go on. I'm getting off my notes. This is still John. This is the next comment that he made. I was and have always been supportive and polite to you. Guys, I'd rather you be rude to me and tell the truth than to be polite and do that to me. I don't have a knife here, but I'd rather you be rude to me. Tell me what you think. I respect you a whole lot more than I would to tell me what you think I want to hear and then stabbing me in the back. I'm not that's not me. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy for that. United States Marine till the day I die, and we don't go for that. Head on. Bring it. Debate it. Argue about it. Talk about it. But don't agree and then, that's not me. I don't like that kind of people. I got a word for those kind of, I used to have a word for those kind. I don't use that word no more, but there's a word for that fits them. I won't go there. I was and always have been supportive to you. You have a talent, but your ego gets in the way. Guys, I think we all have egos. I try not to have. I say on almost every video, Sheila and I are not that smart. If we can figure this out, anybody can. I haven't, I've done different things in life that I'm proud of when I was younger, especially because I'm old now, and I look back and I think God's blessed me with a wonderful life. I've got a lot of memories, a lot of accomplishments. If you want to call that an ego, I guess I've got an ego. I'm sorry that I come off like that if I do, but ego gets in the way. Or is Mr. McNally calling it an ego for being truthful? Is that what he's calling? Is he confusing an ego with truth with proof? Truth that we try to prove, and more times than not we do. We prove our point with proof that you can't debate your way out of it. If the proof is there, you show somebody a picture of something that's a Fred McCoy holding a coffee cup, and then I stand there and say, I never had that coffee cup while I was on that video, and then you show a snapshot and you say, look here, Fred, who's that? I guess you're right. That's proof. That's what we try to do. You can't argue with it. If you want to call that ego or being proud of your investigative skills. I did learn a few things in 40 years. I should have. I would hope a 40-year career in law enforcement, I would have learned something. I should be good at something. I'm sure not a good mechanic. I'm sure not a good mathematician. I'm sure not a good English or grammar person. I hope I learned something in a career in law enforcement, but let's go on. This is Mr. McNally. Every disagreement doesn't require personal attacks. Wilm doesn't agree with Elam on anything, and to suggest otherwise is absurd. We're going to cover this. I'll come back to it. In case you missed it, in your 5 months of Buford research, Buford gave detailed information in several videos on the ambush. It's what Sheila and I have asked for since video number 1. Buford don't have a statement. Go look at any video or news clipping or Eddie Bond's videos or anything you can with Buford Pusser running that mouth. If Buford Pusser, if you see a video and it's coming out of Buford Pusser's mouth, that's his statement. That's what he said. Don't believe nothing else, because there's nothing else out there with his signature on it where he signed it or dated it or witnessed it. And what he says is the truth. Now, somebody's taken a little bit of that truth, a little bit of what Buford actually said, and they've typed it up on a paper, and then they put in their own comments, just like they did Jim Moffitt. And they guided that statement, so-called statement, in the direction they wanted it to go. Let's go on, because I come back to this. Buford gave detailed information in several videos on the ambush. If he did that with the media, I'm certain that he did the same with Warren Jones. I'm certain. Now, he doesn't like Mike Elam speculating. He doesn't like Mike Elam, and I certainly don't like Mike Elam making it up as he goes. Mike Elam's a storyteller, and contrary to whether me and John agree or disagree or dislike each other, that's I think we still, both of us, believe that Buford Pusser's innocent, or at least he's never been proven and will never be proven guilty of murdering his wife. So, but it's funny here because he said, John says, I'm certain that he did the same with Warren Jones. How certain are you, John? How certain are you? Would you stake your life on it? Would you stake your life that on your opinion, you're sure that Buford done this or that? Would you stake your life on it? You're that certain? Or is that just an opinion? I'm certain of it. See, that sounds to me like it's John's opinion. We know what we say about opinions. We all have them. We all have opinion. In fact, Dr. Revell's opined that Pauline was killed outside the car and moved in. That's his opinion. He got paid for that opinion. That's his so-called expert witness opinion. That's the narrative that they wanted. That's in a video. We've done all this. We're not going to go there. Go back and watch all the Buford Pusser videos. We've got some good information. I'm certain that he did the same with Warren Jones. No doubt, Buford Pusser talked to Warren Jones. He was the sheriff. Warren Jones was TBI. Warren Jones was investigating. No doubt, he talked to Warren Jones about what happened that day. No doubt Buford told him. But the only thing that we know that Buford actually said was what we can see out of Buford's mouth in these interviews on the news, Eddie Bonds, different things like that. That's what Buford said. Warren Jones can say Buford said anything he wants to. We don't know. We wasn't there. We don't have Buford's signature. We don't have a tape recording of Buford, so how would we know it? How do we know that these statements didn't come out after Buford Pusser died in 74? How do we know somebody else didn't even write this up? Nothing says this is Warren Jones. There's no letterhead on there that said Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. There's no signature that says Warren Jones, TBI agent. There's nothing like that. This could be an author, somebody wanting to write a book or start a podcast and sitting there laughing. Just like keyboard Rambos, but only arguing with somebody else. They're, okay, I'm gonna say he walked on water. That'd be a good one. I don't know why people does things, guys, but they do it. They do it. I'm certain that he done it, John said. I'm not certain. I would be more certain that because it doesn't have his signature or a date or a witness or anything like that, that he didn't do it. But that's John's opinion. Now, John's thrashing me because I have an opinion on Mr. Humming, a couple of comments that he made. He's thrashing me over having an opinion on Mr. Humming, but now he's got an opinion on me. He says we can quibble all day long as to why there wasn't a formal signed statement back in 1967. But the summary statement appears, I lost my spot. But the summary statement appears to be what Buford told the press. Appears. Well, Buford's out there on the road on New Hope Road with his wife, and that's the only two that we know was there. So it appears that Buford, since he's living that day and she was dead that day, it appears that he killed her. John, don't make sense. It appears what Buford told the press. How? We'll discuss it more. Unfortunately, you chose to do personal attacks against people that appear to disagree with much of what you offer. Much of what I offer, he said in the beginning thing that he agreed with 99% of what I say. He agrees with 99%. And my videos, our videos that we put out that he reposted, he agrees with 99% of them. Here he says that appear to agree with much of what you offer. You do personal attacks against people that appear to agree with much of what you have to offer. But I get it, as you stated to me last night, that you and Sheila weren't interested in friendships. Now listen to his wording, because I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but that's this man of integrity, man of honesty, a man that I thought was a friend. But I get it, as you stated to me last night, that you and Sheila weren't interested in friendships. Now, I'm going to skip down the line here because I'm going to read you my comment. Sheila and I are truth with proof. Sheila and I are truth with proof. Not making friends. Not making friends. Our goal on these videos is truth with proof. Now, if we make friends along the way, then that's great. But he's talking about we're messing up a friendship with Mr. Harming. We're messing up a friendship with him. Guys, if you get mad at a person that you're calling a friend for expressing their opinion and their views, you know, I don't get mad at him for expressing his views. I get mad because he done it on Sheila's channel. Sheila doesn't have a dog. Sheila didn't even comment a lot in this video, the video he's talking about, because that was more me. I'm talking about grand juries. I'm talking about court proceedings. I'm talking about a few things that I know a little bit about, just like Mr. Harming. Neither one of us compared together probably don't know what Mr. Mark Davison. I dislike Mr. Davison's for what he did to Buford Pusser and his reputation. I don't hate him. I dislike him. You know, you can dislike the way people are. Doesn't mean you hate them or you wish them ill will. He seems to wish, if you don't agree with him, he's mad now. John is. But he said there that he made a false statement. That's when you make a false statement, it's called a lie. But I get it, as you stated to me last night, that you and Sheila weren't interested in friendships. That's not what I said. Sheila and I are about truth with proof, not making friends. I didn't say we wasn't interested in making friends, having friends, being friends. I said we're more about truth. If you want us to look the other way when Mr. Harming says something we don't agree with or that's incorrect, just to be friends with somebody, that's not the type of friends we want. That's what I said, but he took it out of context, and that's what he wrote on Sheila's channel. Now, let's move on. I'm saving the best for the last, so maybe you'll hang in here with me. If you don't, I understand. Long videos I make. I'm long-winded, but I try to prove my point, and it's not just for this here. It's for history. These videos are there for somebody down the road. Because John has his platform, he has his Facebook page, and John can write whatever he wants. Now, I do have other friends on that channel, on that page, and I'm sure but see, it don't interest me, because in order for a person's opinion of me to matter, I would have to respect that person's opinion. I lost all respect for John McNally and his opinion in these 2 or 3 text messages. In fact, John asked me one time why a certain person left his page that used to be big on his page at one time, and they lost faith in John. John lost their credibility. I just never told John that. You know, why do you want to stir the pot? I didn't tell them a lie. I just said other things going on in their lives and such. And they did. They had some other things going on too. But it was a lot to do with John. But let's go on. John didn't post my last video, even though he says he agrees with my video. Mr. Harming was wrong. See? He says he agrees with it, but he didn't post it. I don't care if he posted it or not, guys. I put these out there for pastime. If I get 5 hits, I get them. If I wouldn't put them out there if I didn't want views. Of course I do. But I'm not going to have a coronary if nobody watches my... How can a person respect themselves when they say one thing but do another? How can he tell me in a text message that he feels this guy's wrong and he feels I'm right, and so, but yet he just don't want to put it out there, because then he says I've gave ammunition to Mike Elam to come back and say that the Pusser group is disbanded. They're disagreeing with each other. Guys, I'm not part of a Pusser group. Sheila and I are independent. We look at things for what they are and tell it as truthful as we can and let the chips fall where they may. Anybody that respects what Mike Elam says, then they probably... Guys, if we only pick on one person or one side of a debate, we are nothing more than bullies. That's what you call bullies. Now, I know about bullies. I was a little fella all through school and all this and that, until I got in the Marine Corps and martial arts and different things. Then I know about bullies. I don't like bullies. But bullies comes in different forms and fashions and sizes and attitudes and personalities. And bullies do different things. When you get on a Facebook group, if you're there just to bully Mike Elam or Oakley Baldwin or Mark Davison, then you're a bully. That's a bully. You may not be standing there going to duke it out with them or beat them up, but that's a form of bullying. That's cyberbullying. You're cyberbullying them. Bullying of any kind. Speak your piece, and especially if you can prove what you're saying, and go on. It's funny that John had told me previously how he had argued with and blocked others, and he did. I've got text messages. He's argued with this one, that one, and this Carey guy, this guy that I had a falling out with more or less because I don't think he done a good debate on a Tennessee news story, and he'd build it up till I really had faith. I thought he was going to be, and he got on that debate, and he just crumbled. And that's what I believe Mr. Harming would do in a debate with probably Mike Elam too, but especially Mark Davison, a prosecutor. I don't believe there's no, it'd be like putting me up against. I couldn't go against Mark Davison. That's what his profession is. That's what he does. Now, I've had a lot of courtroom also, but I wouldn't want to go against him as far as the legalities, knowing the law, knowing what I can bring up or can't bring up or is restricted. So I don't fool myself and say, John says I have an ego. Well, I can't compete with an attorney, with attorneys. I don't have that knowledge. I don't have that education. I don't have that. When they didn't agree with him, in fact, others who used to belong to his page and were even administrators left his page because of, and I said it a while ago, but anyway, some things was better left unsaid, so I won't go there. But John's blocked several people, many people, because they don't see his view. They don't agree with him. They don't want to bully other people that has other thoughts. We try to change your mind. We try to show you proof so you can look at it and say, wow, can't argue with that. Again, if I'm sitting here holding that, you can't argue. In fact, I mentioned one of those in the other video, the guy who was on the Tennessee podcast and fumbled the ball. I thought he fumbled the ball. Mr. Carey, or Carey was his first name, I can't remember, but nice guy. Nice guy. He's like the rest of us. He's got an opinion, but he built this thing up so big, and then he got on TV or on the podcast, and he choked. And it's okay. I choke all the time. You wouldn't believe. Like I said, this is the second video I'm doing here. I didn't choke. I just almost lost my religion. I got a little bit upset, and you can't do that. John actually begged me. John actually bragged to me about arguing with him and blocking him. He was so proud to have that little bit of control, and that's the truth. John, we've messaged, we've talked on the phone, and he bragged about how he argued with this fella, and he had ultimately kicked him off because he had told John something, and then John repeated on his page, and then the Moffat family got mad at John for putting the wrong name or whatever. I don't know what the deal is. It was O'Neill Moffat's family, I believe, and he got mad at the Carey guy, and then they got in an argument, and then, I blocked him, I kicked him off, and that's a little bit childish, but it's okay. Guys, I didn't mean anything personal when I said Mr. Harming couldn't debate Mr. Mark Davison. I was just speaking fact, and I was. I just now said the same thing. I couldn't debate Mr. Mark Davison on the law and criminal procedures and administrative rules and things. I couldn't. I'm not a lawyer. Neither is William Harming. In fact, John McNally even agreed with me in his last text. Big difference in being a witness in a few selected cases and being an attorney. William Harming is an expert witness on certain things. I've also been titled an expert witness in court on different things, firearms, DUIs, different things. Doesn't make me knowledgeable on everything, only those 2 or 3 items that a judge, after questioning and answering, he thought, well, yeah, we'll treat him as an expert witness. It's not hard to be. You just have to have some knowledge in that particular field, enough to convince a judge that you know what you're talking about. He'll either throw you off or let you talk. But I wasn't trying to belittle anyone. I just acknowledged that Mr. Davison went to school, passed the bar, and has to be good at what he does. When you do something day in and day out, you got to get good at it. You just have to get good. You can't do something over and over and over and over, not get good at it, unless you're, there's a word for it back in my day, but Sheila don't like me using that word, but you're not, your special needs. While I don't agree with the way Mr. Davison done in the Buford Pusser case, it doesn't take away from him being a professional, or his profession. He's an attorney. There's no comparison to a layperson in a debate with an attorney. It's a no-brainer. He says, I have an ego. I know better than to try to compete with a lawyer, an attorney, on my knowledge of what certain procedures and laws are. But as I attempted to imply in the first video, sometimes people get the bug. They get a little attention, and they feel they are better at what they do than what they really are. I think we all do that. I first started this YouTube stuff, I was nervous as I could be in front of a mic and a phone or a camera, and nervous as I could be. Look at me now. I talk to you like we are friends, and some of you are. Some of you are friends. We don't have to hang out together. We don't have to, but we can be nice to each other. We can respect each other's opinions. I got friends that disagree with my politics, disagree with my opinions. We're still friends. I disagree with them. Doesn't make me hate them. Don't make me hate anybody. Now, Mr. McNally here, he said, every disagreement doesn't require personal attacks. William doesn't agree with Elam on anything. Now, I'll show you the statements at the end of the video where he wrote them, what he wrote, the text messages and so forth, and what I wrote. But he says right there, now he done said up there that Sheila and I said we didn't want friends or not interested in friends or whatever he said. We said truth was more important than friends. But he took that out of context. He says here, William Harmon doesn't agree with Elam on anything. Well, if you'll go to John's page, Buford Pusser Facebook page, you'll see that you'll have to join it. And after you join, go down and read Mr. Harmon's post that somebody sent me. And it says, in fact, I read it on that first video. Go to Sheila's page, Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures, and something about a Facebook, responding to a Facebook post I write, the title. And read it. Read what he says, because he says Buford Pusser's statement. Mike Elam, on almost every video he does, he'll refer to either Buford Pusser's so-called statement. He doesn't call it so-called. He says, I'm reading from Buford Pusser's statement. I'm reading from Jim Moffitt's statement. No, you're reading some typewritten words on a piece of copy paper with no signature, no date, no time, no letterhead, no witnesses. But John says William doesn't agree with Elam on anything. Well, here's me. John says Mr. Humming doesn't agree with Elam on anything. Well, sir, you are incorrect. As he, like Elam, says, this is Buford's statement. So by saying that, he's agreeing with Elam. He's not agreeing with Sheila and I, because we don't believe it's the statement. And we don't think it's ever going to be proven to be Buford's statement. We don't even think it's going to be proven to come from back in that day. We think it was typed up years later by other people. We don't even think that's Warren Jones, as bad as Warren Jones disliked Buford Pusser. As Elam was the first to refer to those 3.5 pages of Buford's statement. First time we ever heard. We've never heard it in the past, and we've done a lot of research on Buford Pusser. Not seen it in the newspaper, not seen nothing that says that's Buford's statement, other than when Mike Elam put it in his book, started bringing it out in podcasts and talking about it on other podcasters' channels and so forth. That's the backbone to his story. It's Buford's statement. Mr. Harming says that's Buford's statement. By saying that, he's confirming that that's Jim Moffat's statement too. Well, he just confirmed that Jim Moffat said Buford killed his wife. If we go by them statements, that's what it says. Truth with proof. Have to call John out on that remark, and I just did. I just explained that he says that Humming doesn't agree with Elam on anything. Well, he does on that. Humming states in his own post, Buford Pusser's statement, truth with proof. It's not a personal attack. That's called a correction. He says it's a personal attack because I said that William Humming agreed with Mike Elam. He says, John says Fred made a personal attack because I said that and showed it in his statement. It's on the video. It's not made up. I show it just like holding that coffee cup. It's either it's there, either he said it or he didn't. And if he said that's Buford's statement, he's agreeing with Mike Elam because Mike Elam says that's Buford's statement. I don't know how much attacking somebody by. Let's go on. He says, John McNally says, to suggest otherwise is absurd. He tells me that it's absurd for me to compare what Mr. Humming said to what Mr. Elam says about Buford's statement. Well, it's right there on your own Facebook page, John. Read Mr. Harming's post. It's there. Who falsely attacking who? Who says that I falsely attack people? Who just falsely attacked people in at least 2 comments because he says Sheila and I said we don't want friends. And then he says here that it's absurd that Mr. Harming's never agreed with Mike Elam on anything. Well, and then he says Buford gave detailed information in several videos on the ambush. What has Sheila and I said since video number 1 on Buford? If you want to see Buford's statement, watch news videos, watch Eddie Bond's videos. Those are Buford's words. That is Buford's statement. And they put just enough of those in that typewritten statement, so-called statement, that they would fool other people. And they fooled the very man who wants to debate Mark Davison. They put enough of Buford's own words from television and interviews in that typewritten paper to fool people, to make, oh, yeah, I remember Buford saying this on Eddie Bonds. I remember Buford saying this on CBS. I remember. They put enough of it in there till you could think, oh, okay, this must be it. They fooled the very man, William Harming. They fooled him into thinking that's Buford's statement. And that's the man that says he wants to debate Mark Davison and Mike Parsons. I don't see it, guys. If you can be fooled over that. Now, we're going to get to where this all came up about this book in a minute. Look for things that's coming out of Buford's mouth. I don't hate people. I don't like the way some have bared false witness against Buford, but God will deal with them. I don't hate none of these people on that, what John McNally refers to, the other side. I don't hate them. I dislike and discredit. I don't have a lot of faith in what they say or their character, and especially the way they've bared false witness. The 8th commandment, 10 commandments, and number 8 says, shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Buford's their neighbor, or was their neighbor. And if they don't know this for a fact, and as of now, we have nobody standing there holding a gun, either Buford or the people driving by shooting. We have nobody that's come forward and said, yep, I witnessed that happen. That's bearing false witness because we don't know for a fact what happened to Pauline. John doesn't care if we talk about Davison, Roush, Parsons, and especially Elam and Baldwin, but leave the Pusser side alone if they put out false information. By Mr. Harming saying that's Buford's statement, just like we've disagreed all along with Mike Elam and everybody else. That's not Buford's statement. That's not signed. That's not dated. It's not. There's no proof that Buford Pusser said any of that, except what's in that typewritten part that you can show on TV or in interviews. Buford said that part. It's on tape. He talks about the drive-by. He talks about what happened. But what about all these other? Why have we never heard all them other things that's in those 3 pages, 3.5 pages? Why have we never heard Buford Pusser say any of those in all the interviews, and not just television, but even newspaper? Go to television or newspaper print and see. Well, even Mike Elam's own reporter that he says, oh, he liked him. Well, in the first days there, he bragged on Buford, talks about the ambush. But leave the Pusser side alone. If they put out false information, well, that's nothing but bullying. That's not correcting with proof. Guys, when you take up for one side and you put the other side down, you just keep nagging at them, nagging. You're bullying. That's a bully. Whether it's on the internet, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, whether it's in text, that's bullying. But when you show somebody something with proof, that's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. Some people can't handle the truth. I wish see, Sheila's not here. She does all that fancy stuff. But right here, imagine seeing Jack Nicholson on that court stand with them Marines, that big colonel uniform and dress blues. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. That's John McNally. He doesn't want the truth. He wants the one-sided. Either side. Mike Elam, same way. Mike Elam wants the one side that favors him, favors what he thinks, and John wants what favors him. What's wrong with wanting the truth? I'm certain that he did. That's where John says up top in that statement. He said, I'm certain that he did. How certain are you, John? Would you bet your life on it? Are you certain? That certain, or are you just a little certain? See, that's an opinion. John, nothing more than your opinion. You get upset at Davison and others for opinions, then give an opinion on something you know or more about. Give opinion on something. I ain't going to say that. That's a little bit smart alecky there. That's probably from yesterday. You're speculating. You're not just speculating about it. Those so-called statements are not authentic. They're not authentic. They're not proven. They're not confirmed. They're not. Nobody's even ever talked about them. We'd have to get that in court under oath. Let's raise the right hand. Under oath, where somebody could testify. Who's the first person to ever see these two so-called statements of Buford and Jim Moffitt? Was it Mike Elam? Did Mike Elam give them because they lost the file, so did he give his copy? Where did he get his copy? Something as serious as a person who accused of murdering his wife deserves more than speculation when it comes. Is this your statement, Buford? No, that's not my statement. He can't do that. He's dead. Shouldn't we give more to a person that's been accused of murdering his wife than just a sheet of paper that somebody's typed up? Just because John makes such reckless statements as, I'm certain, doesn't make it true, guys. Just because he says something doesn't make it true. John wanted to throw his 2 cents into the ring, as he has done with others. Then, like other debates, he deletes and blocks the person so they can't correct him. That's not the way men do things. John starts these arguments. John argues with Carrie. He argues with other people that's left his page. And then he deletes and blocks them because he doesn't have the knowledge. He doesn't have the trait. He doesn't have the gall. We've been covering hillbilly words in another video. He doesn't have the gall to back it up, the intestinal fortitude. When it gets hot, he bows out. and he deletes and blocks the person. That's keyboard Rambo. I don't want to say that in a mean way, but in my opinion. Looks like I misjudged you also. And I did. I misjudged John. I misjudged Mr. McNally because, and I can be fooled. I'm a little bit harder at this age than I used to be, and through life and the things I've seen. It takes me a while to get warm up to people. There's only a few people that I really warm up to. So, looks like I misjudged. John sounds like Mike Elam. John says, sounds like Mike Elam. Says I sound like Mike Elam, guys. Really? See, I don't care about that. I learned in the 3rd grade, sticks and stones may break my bones. You can't call me nothing, John, that I haven't been called in a 40-year career in law enforcement. You can't call me a name that I've never been called. See, Mike Elam in his head believes everything he says, and it's consumed him. That's my opinion. Poor old Mike, he's comparing people to Mike Elam. Mike Elam has been at this so long and has so much hatred, so much disdain for Buford Pusser because he couldn't be a Buford Pusser. There's certain people that if you can't be somebody, you hate them. And that's my take. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, or that's my take on it. That's my opinion. But Mike's head is consumed with this Buford Pusser stuff. Now I'm beginning to believe that it has also consumed John. How long have you been at that Facebook page? I don't know when he started that Facebook page. How long has he had the Buford Pusser Facebook page? Has he had it as long as Mike Elam? Is he as deranged as Mike Elam is, one way, the other way? Because it's easy to do. I got so involved and it's easy to do when you see the truth and you can prove it, and then people still believe the other way. But John confused me when John says he agrees with everything that I've said and that Mr. Harming was wrong in his statements and so forth. He says he agrees, but then he gets mad at me for saying it. But he don't get mad at me for calling Mike Elam out or anybody else. Sheila and I are new at this, talking about the Buford Pusser case. We just got involved in this case August 29, 2025, when the press conference was on the news. Never been fans or foes of Buford Pussers. We've never, one way or the other. We do think he's innocent. We'll always think that. He's never going to be proven guilty. He's not here to defend himself. He's not here to stand up for himself. That's something they should have done almost 60 years ago. They should have proved this happened 60 years ago. How far do we go with these Facebook pages? Are these Facebook pages, maybe we're putting too much trust in them as being truthful? Just a bunch of people with the same thoughts get on the same page and these other people on the same thoughts, and then you hate each other? Is that the way we should do? And I tell John, you're like Elza, Mr. Elza. I like that old guy. Me and him had a lot in common, contrary to what people think. We both like guns. We both like karate and boxing and martial arts. And we had some of the same views, Second Amendment, different things. But he had so much hatred and was such a big guy. He's been a bully all of his life. You can tell he was a bully, and he's been a bully, and he thought he was going to bully somebody, and it didn't work out. I can't be bullied. Call it stupid. It's not ego. Call it stupid. But I found out the best way to do a bully is just call them out. Once you call a bully out and put the spotlight on them, point your finger at them, sometimes they realize that they're actually a bully, and sometimes they just back down because they're a bully. And bullies, we know bullies are make-believes in their own mind. They think they're these tough guys or these smart guys, but they back down because you've called their hand. If you don't get your way, or those on your channel don't agree with you on your Facebook page, then you try to bully them. Sorry, John, Fred McCoy can't be bullied. I just can't. I refuse to be bullied. I would take on somebody if I knew they would beat the holy poop out of me. I wouldn't never back down. You just don't do it. They would know that I'd been there, and I'd be there tomorrow, or when I healed up, I'll be back. But you're not going to bully. Then finally the bully says, I better go somewhere else. You don't have the knowledge to prove them wrong, so you say some mean things to them, and you message them, and you mention ego, and then you delete and block them. See, to me, John, that's ego on your part. I think it's your ego that you have that little power in that mouse that you can hit delete and you can hit block, and you think that makes you a big man. Well, it does on your little page there. It makes you a big man. You're the administrator. You're in control of that. That's fine. You can do what you want. You didn't hurt my feelings. You didn't hurt my... I don't respect that page anymore. I'm sorry. I respect a lot of people on it, some smart people on there, and I'll always respect them. Some of them gave us some good information. They know who they are. We've talked on the phone. We've talked on Messenger. I respect a bunch of them, but I don't respect that page anymore because of John. You say, I chose to do personal attacks against people. John says, I chose to do personal attacks. How is it a personal attack? We have bragged on Mr. Harming in the past. Does that mean when he says something that's incorrect, we should not correct him? We've bragged on him, how done a good job investigating Pauline and Buford's, or not Buford's, but Pauline and Vance's divorce in Chicago. Done an excellent job. But because he does something else that's not true or incorrect, we should say, well, he's a nice guy. He's cordial. That don't get us nowhere. And just say, oh, he liked Buford. Let's not correct him. If it's not the truth, you don't let it go, John. If it's not the truth, you correct it. On me, on anybody. If you let it go, then you're as bad as Mr. Elam and some of the others. Sorry, I was wrong for thinking you were better than that. That's me to him. It's my mistake. I got mad yesterday at him. Then I realized I shouldn't be mad at him. I should be mad at myself for carrying on a conversation with him, for texting him, for not being able to see. Because I can see through a lot of people. I don't trust a lot of people. I just don't. Reason for that. You are no different than Mr. Elzer. You're a bully. Everything is okay until somebody says something you don't like or agree with. Then you turn into the bully. Go with truth, John. If there's proof and truth, always go with that, not personal feelings. John says he put our videos out for 5 months. Well, he put them out as long as we were correcting what he refers to the other side. He wasn't doing that to do us a favor with our videos. He put them out because he liked the content. We were correcting other people for not telling the truth or so forth. But once we make a correction to his side, he gets angry and says, I'm angry. He gets angry and he says Fred's angry. Which reminds me of a certain political party that when they do something, they like to point the finger at the other party. Oh, that reminds me. So I have a feeling I know what political party this person, John, belongs to. Me and him belong to 2 different parties, I can tell you that. On his investigations of Pauline's divorce, we have bragged on Mr. Harming. And we've bragged on him for standing up we're standing up for a dead man. We still do that. Brag on all them people on them pages that stand up for Buford because he's innocent. He's innocent till proven guilty. He's never going to be proven guilty. An indictment, if they was to, like Mr. Mark Davison, that's the sad part about him. Sad part, he's probably a respectable person. You know, the anger, the shock, all this is wearing off. I've been through things in my police career that I've seen things go on and stuff, and you finally realize that it's not a personal attack when you prove, it's not personal when you prove somebody did something or didn't do it. It's not a personal attack. That's truth with proof. John has told me several stories about those he had angered with and blocked them. We've been there. That's the pot calling the kettle black. If I really respected John's opinion, it might mean something. It just saddened to see you are so one-sided instead of looking for the truth, no matter where it falls, on which side. Like the Kerry guy that you called out and talked so tough with, and then you blocked him. You and Mike Elam need to get off the imaginary cases you're on and actually go for the truth. I say that to Mr. Elam, both of them. Quit being so one-sided. Look at the facts. Truth doesn't matter on either side. John says we can quibble all day long as to why there wasn't a formal signed statement back in '67. Oh, yes, we can. Warren Jones had signed statements back then. John Sloan had signed statements back then. Memos. They even initialed when they'd make a correction to something. They had Mike Parsons, Dr. Reveal. All these people's got signed statements. Why would we expect any different? They were signed statements back then. I've shown videos. We put their statements in there, many of them. And then John, we're almost done, guys. Then John makes the comment that Sheila, but I get it. As you stated to me last night, that you and Sheila weren't interested in friendships. What a great response to those who shared your videos for 5 months. You shared our videos, sir, because you believed in our videos. You believed in our research. You believed in what we were saying, but not only saying what Sheila and I were proving. You showed those videos for that reason. But you showed them more than anything now that I see because they were in favor of your beliefs. Once we show one video that's the opposite, that somebody made and it's not only one statement. That was such a big statement about Buford's so-called statement. That's huge. Because once he made that statement, it said Buford's statement is real, then he also says Jim Moffitt's statement is real, so that we can get off this Buford Pusser case. If what Mr. Harming says about Buford's statement being true is true, then Buford killed his wife. He beat her up 3 days before, and he killed her. And he told Jim Moffitt that he done it. That's what Jim Moffitt says, because that would also make Jim Moffitt's statement true. I'm sorry to go that route. I don't believe that. I don't believe neither statement is true and legit. I don't believe they are. But if that's what Mr. McNally wants to believe and wants us to believe that Mr. Harming is correct, then that's the only way you can say it, is that Buford killed his wife. He beat her up 3 days before, and he killed his wife. He says here, or my response was, Sheila and I are truth with proof, not making friends. Our main goal is not making friends. Our main thing is truth. If we see people that's truthful, that would be our friends. We see people that's truthful and honest. And good example of friends, had somebody asked me if me and John McNally were friends before I saw your post, I would have said yes. And now you see why I refer to friends as I do, because friends are few and far in between, guys. We were friends, and you posted our videos as long as we were making corrections to Mike Elam and others. But once it turned out that we were correcting one of your supporters, you took offense. Remember, John, let me post here again. You even agreed with me that Harming was wrong. Why would you attack me when you admit I was right on my assessment of Mr. Harming? Here's more of his comment I was going to show you earlier. Fred, I watched your video last night concerning Harming. In regards to Mr. Harming, I agree with 99% of what you stated in regards to Harming too, but I wouldn't have made a video. Well, you may not have made a video. We did. We're YouTubers. We make videos. You wouldn't have made a video because you didn't want something that was calling out somebody that's on your side for being wrong. You even agreed he's wrong, but you just want to. That's cover up. That's what you call a cover up, John. That's a cover up. You cover up something that you don't like, but bring out something. It's okay to bring out something on somebody else. It's not fair. It's not right. And then he says, I portray myself in a lot of ways to Fred McCoy. This is John. John says, keep in mind. He's telling me this. Keep in mind, I portray myself in a lot of ways to Fred McCoy. John, I got news for you. You may be a lot of things, sir. You're not Fred McCoy. You're not Fred McCoy. He goes on to say, I too wondered why someone with Humming's background would suggest a scenario with a grand jury like he did. I really believe William incorrectly believes there wasn't enough for an indictment. I don't agree with those opinions either, but it wasn't worth tearing him down. My goal was not to tear him down. My goal was to bring his attention to that statement has never been confirmed as anything that Buford said other than the ones that's in there that's taped that we can prove that you can go through and mark that he said on TV with his own voice. Or William Humming is on Buford's side. See, I don't care which side people's on. I don't care which side they're on. I care what the truth is. I found him to be very friendly and cordial. We've read that. I can promise you that I would take the same stance with you. If somebody disagreed with you, sorry, John, you are nothing like me, sir. I'm on the last notes, guys. I know it's long. I'm just going to put it on one video. Watch it or not. Not about sides. It's about the truth. I never claimed he wasn't friendly and cordial. What does that have to do with truth or correcting someone with proof? Joe Biden was a nice enough guy when you saw him on TV and stuff. Obama, a nice enough guy when you see him on TV. FBI, Comey, McCabe, all these people. But look at them. Look at the court records. Look at the documents that's coming out on all the faults, on all the untrue things that they... How can you respect people like that? Doesn't matter how cordial or friendly. It's okay to rob a bank as long as when you go in, hey, guys, I've got a gun in my hand. I want to shake hands with everybody, but I also want your money. I'm robbing this place, but hey, nice to meet you all. I'll be leaving now, going to the Bahamas with this money. Does that make it right? Closing, guys. Closing. You would be wrong to stand up for me. I'm telling John, you would be wrong to stand up for me if I was in the wrong. He says, I'll stand up with you if somebody attacks you. You'd be wrong in doing that if I'm in the wrong. Don't stand up for Fred McCoy if he's in the wrong. You would be wrong to stand up for me if I was in the wrong. It's called morals, character, integrity, honesty. John, maybe someday you will learn about some of these traits. They are very important in life. And they are. I'm not going to say this is the last Buford video. I say that every time and then I go back. So maybe if I don't say it, maybe it'll be the last one. Because I am working on something else right now. And I got some other things going on. I'll fill you in later on them. But a lot going on right now. Don't have time for the nonsense with Mr. McNally. But that, I'll just close my computer. And that's what I'm going to do to him. Close the book on him. He can have his Facebook page. We'll have our YouTube channel. And everybody can go on. If you enjoy looking at one-sided stuff, then that's the place to go. If you want truth with proof, that's what we try to do. And if we don't, and we say something that's incorrect or wrong, correct us. We respect that. Correct us with proof. And you'll convince us. Sorry the video's so long, guys. I feel strongly about this one. I done this same video in about 30 minutes last night. But it was so... I was on a roll. I was, like I said, speak in anger, you'll give the best speech you'll ever regret. Thank you, Lord. I'm so glad that I didn't post it, because I was ready to. And then Sheila had got home from school by then, and she was here. I listened to Sheila. She's got a rough road to hoe with me, because I'm pretty strong-willed, but I listened to her. She's good for me. Thank you, guys. God bless you, John. God bless all you all people. The Buford Pusser's in heaven, hopefully by now. Hopefully he's in a better place. And God, if he's been misjudged, God will deal with those that's bared false witness. We put what we knew out there. We investigated it here on earth in an investigative level to our skills. Not that we're anything special. We're nothing special. We put our 2 cents in just like everybody else does. Doesn't make us right. But I'll tell you what we got to do. We got to start loving each other. We got to stop this bickering and arguing and carrying on like we do. And, I say that, and then I'll have another video tomorrow probably. Or at least we've got to watch how we do it. Last night, if I would have posted that video, that would have been God would have got mad at me for that. On this one here, on just explaining things, I don't think he minds a person standing up for themselves or showing. Thanks, guys.